What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to today's video. In today's video I'm going to be discussing, is the Corsa VXR really that bad from my experience? Now, I've had the car for almost 3 years, so I'm going to sort of give the rundown of any issues I've had and what I think the common problems, even though you know the common problems I've told you before, but the stuff I've had personally go. So have a drive now and I'll discuss with you guys my opinion on the Corsa VXR, my honest opinion that is. Right, I've had the car, like I said, I bought it in January 2018, so we're now in what, November 2020, so almost 3 years. When I bought the car, it had done 92,000 miles and I paid £2,800 for it. It looked like it was a typical Corsa VXR to look at. I'll insert a photo now so you guys can see what it looked like. It didn't look great, but I could see through how it was going to look in my head, and I knew what I wanted to do to it at the time. After a few months, I took it down to WG Motorworks to have the engine forged, which was consisted of some Wasner pistons and ZRP rods. Now, this cost me just over £2,000, which, you know, because obviously when you buy a Corsa VXR, that's the stigma they get is piston for. I didn't have it forged because it broke, anything that broke. It was just, I knew it was one of the common problems the Corsa has. But, you know, in my opinion, the Corsa VXR, for how cheap they are, you can pick them up anything between 2.8 or even £2.5 I've seen some go for, up to like 3.5. But, you know, you compare that to the likes of a Fiesta ST, which can go from anything between £4.5 to up to 7 or 8 grand, depending on miles and spec. You know, if you bought a Corsa VXR for, like, say, £2.5 to 3 grand, and then spent 2 grand on it having the engine for, that's about 5 grand, and you got an engine that's capable over 400 breakdown, and it'll never break. It'll never. I mean, my car's done now 135,000 miles, and so it's done 37,000 miles on the original build because I had it forged at 98,000 miles, and the engine's been perfect. Never, I just service it regularly like you would any other car, just look after it. But, you know, they are a good car. Yeah, they suffer with issues. Problems I've had the turbo coolant return pipe snapped twice. I've had to replace both rear wheel bearings and both rear calipers. A few sensors here and there, like, you know, my lambda sensor. I've had to replace my mass sensor, the map sensor, and boost solenoid. They're the only things I've had to replace. Obviously, I had my last mass sensor went when I was having it mapped the first time, and I went for stage 3. It was leaning the engine out. So I chucked another mass sensor on. Obviously, I've replaced it recently again because I've had to get a bigger one, but there was nothing wrong with my old one. But other than that, this car's been perfect. You know, they get such a stigma, oh, piston 4, but, you know, once their engine's forged, they're alright. And yes, the gearbox can be problematic for some, but, you know, that's only a few £100 fix. You go to A&S Clutch Technologies, I think it's called, or A&S Gearbox Centre. They can repair your gearbox for not too much money, a few £100, which ain't bad really. That'd be uprated bearings and stuff like to future-proof, which is something I'm planning on doing myself. But yeah, in my experience, the car's been fine. There's not many cars that come well spec'd. It's like you've got these nice seats in here. They come cruise control standard, you know, all electrics and that. Like for the money, you get a lot of car. It's just a stigma that's attached to them, unfortunately. They're seen as a bit of a shabby car. But, you know, there's a lot of people out there like enjoy these cars and these sort of sport. They do look sporty. You know, the kit you get on them, the bumpers, 18-inch wheels on most of them. Yeah, some of them did come with 17s, but the majority of them did come with 18s. And, you know, they're a good car. They really are. Mine's never let me down. I'll say I've done 135,000 miles on it. I've never not got home. I've never had something go so bad that it's left me at the side of the road. It's been perfect, and I've done a lot of miles in a short amount of time I've had it, really. And you can't beat the sound of them. I think they sound really nice. And I just don't understand why people give them such a bad rep. I think they're a really good car. But I don't know, I suppose it's, you know, a lot of young kids bragging them around McDonald's and stuff like that. That's what sort of gives them the rep, I suppose. But, you know, there are a few clean ones out there and people do look after them. There is a big following for them. And the aftermarket is huge for them. You know, there's loads of different parts, up to Garrett's, you know, a big Garrett conversion, or, you know, just like I did a hybrid. and it's not that expensive to modify. To get, you know, compared to what you pay for a Fiesta ST, by the time you bought an old Fiesta, you paid about $6,000 for it. It's probably about $3,000 getting up to 300 brake. You're probably looking at the best part of $9,000 all in, possibly. Whereas if you buy a Corsa cheap enough, you should be able to do it for a little bit less, but it all depends on your budget, I suppose. But that's just my experience. That's the only things I've had problems with mine. I've not had any other issues. It's been perfect to me, but a lot of people don't have the same sort of luck with their cars. I've seen people buy a Corsa be excited below the first week, but it's always piston fault. It's always or a piston, or it's piston related or gearbox related. They're the only real issues they have that can do your head in. But for the amount of money you pay for them, what do you expect? You know, they're cheap cars. It annoys me because if I ever wanted to sell the car, even at its current spec, I'd be looking to get $3,500 on a good day. So it is a bit. If you do buy one and spend a lot of money on it, just bear in mind you won't get your money back. You're not going to be able to spend all that money and then sell it for a lot more. You won't. But that's just my opinion. That's my personal opinion of them. I think they're great. I really think they are. But you know, if you guys think about getting one, you know, if how cheap they are, they've sort of like dropped as much as they're going to drop now. They're not going to drop any more. So if you do buy one, it's not for you. Guarantee you'll get your money back on it, as long as you don't obviously spend like thousands on it. But yeah, that's just my opinion, guys. It's a quick little video now, like before lockdown kicks in, where I won't be able to do nothing again. But yeah, as always, if you enjoyed the video, guys, drop a like down, and I'll see you on the next one.